whatever it is. For those of you joining me for the very first time, this is me just responding to various questions and comments on various different videos. I never censor my comments. I always encourage people to jump in on the conversation because it's usually pretty fantastical, whether we agree, disagree, all good, say your piece. All right, 19th of December 2016, getting close to Christmas. Let's just jump into it. When I visited Sweden, I would like to see Swedish peoples, not Syrian, and when I visit Sweden, I would like to see Swedish food, not Syrian food. What's going on here? Get a hose, freaking Syrian Muslims out of Sweden. The culture of Sweden is being deaminated. Yeah, that's multiculturalism. I don't know what the future is going to... I still would like to see, like, the countries I would like to visit. You know, most people, they always want a vacation like the Bahamas or someplace like that, tropical. But I'd like to see, like, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Iceland. I'd really love to see Iceland. Those type of places, because I'm more fascinated by those places. Even Russia, I'd love to go to Russia. I don't think I could ever go to Russia because with my YouTube channel, you know, I could get the FSB might be meeting me at the, airport. You know, you're critical of our country. We throw you in gulag. You know, but I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see Hungary, Poland, Ukraine, even. You know, just to see it. You know, it's like I'd love to see these places. I wish they weren't all war torn. Middle Eastern countries, I'd love to see the Valley of the Kings and stuff like that. I'd love to see all the ancient, you know, cities in Syria and so. I'd love to see all that stuff. But it doesn't necessarily mean I want all those people here, you know, because again, you're just doing population displacement. Now with the Swedes, wow, they're bad off because of their policies and stuff like that. But if they were to switch policies, they actually do have a chance. They could probably get rid of a lot of these people by just cutting off the welfare. Like that's 90% of cut off the welfare. It will save so much violence later on. You know, just encourage them to leave. That type of thing. Well, we got nothing here for you for free. They could do this in Germany, France, whatever. Problem is they're so embedded in Germany and France that those people ain't leaving without violence. Not that I call for violence, but it's going to happen anyway. You know. But anyway. Gang rape is the ultimate form of democracy because it is a majority decision. How many girls like the responsibility for their bodies? I mean, how many like being labeled whores or sluts, or the emotional slavery they are chained to obey? Okay, well, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say that. There's democracy of... you have two wolves and one lamb, and they're voting on what to have for dinner. Yeah, okay, I get that concept of it. That, but I wouldn't call that democracy. I mean, it's majority rule, but it's definitely not democracy. But yeah, I get what you're saying there. Anyway, all right, maybe you have already answered this, and if so, please offer a link. You offer insight, theories, and opinions regarding what you see around the world very well. You point out Russia is currently doing the elites also as they press on the establishment appears to be the New World Order as well as the bankers, etc. As a studious Christian of prophecy, I have my own opinions which in a post-Christian world few are interested in. But I do love to know where an informed secular guy like you believes this all is heading and who is steering the ship. For instance, do you believe that over the past 2 to 3 centuries, a group, a class, or family whom all being subject to death are following the plan and that will be descendants somehow down the line to the rule of the world, and for what purpose? Well, this is where it gets really, like, if I'm understanding what you're asking me. And I'll bring in, for example, the Zionists. You got these Zionist Jews. Not all Jews are Zionists. Not all Zionists are Jews. A lot of them are Christians, Judeo-Christians that Israel says jump and you can politically correctly wrap them up called neocons, and you could see them very openly in Congress. Like I don't even know if these people really realize what they're doing, or if it's just such powerful groupthink that they're not really trying to control the world. It's just that they're so in line that their policies always lead to these things. I don't know, but we'll take France for example. You have all these migrants flooding in, and they're flooding close to Jewish areas. Now, you have all these people yelling anti-Semite, racist, bigot, anti-Semite, anti-Jewish, Jewish people are persecuted, yada, yada, yada. Meanwhile, it's the same Zionist Jews calling for all this mass immigration, and it, again, like, either they'll eat their own young, or they're going to become like here they are saying that we need multiculturalism and then complain that, by surrounding jihadist Muslims around Jews that the Jews are being attacked and they have to leave for the homeland because, you know what I mean? Like, it just makes no sense. If you look at it that way, I mean, like, they're creating their own danger. They've gone Emperor Nero. So that could be part of it. The other part is $64 million question. Who wins? I mean, I really don't think the Jewish state is going to last much longer. 10 years would be optimistic at best, because it really does depend on what's happening with Trump right now. Trump is not going to fix the problem. If anything, he's probably just going to dampen the problem at best, create a little bit of stability in the States to a degree. But at the end of the day, it's still the same Zionist neocons running. I mean, everybody he's appointing is a Goldman Sachs banker for the most part. But are they the good guys or the bad guys? We don't know. We don't know. We can only judge them by their actions. But if the policies don't change, well, the Middle East will destabilize even more, flooding more people into Europe, creating culture clashes and civil war. My take is on it is when the European people do fight back, they're just going to slaughter everybody. The time for dialogue is now, sure. But at some point, when it gets fisticuffs, there's only going to be so many more refugees allowed. And then after that, there's going to be an ethnic cleansing. The people that are in Europe illegally and whatever, all these illegal migrants and stuff like that, if a culture clash starts breaking out violently into a civil war, and which will probably happen within the next 2 to 5 years, in my opinion. I mean, I know, yes, a lot of the Germans have been, since there's a lot of brainwashing they have to overcome since 1945, 46, Nazi, and yes, a lot of them are allowing, there's same thing in Sweden. They're, like one guy was raped by a migrant and felt bad that they deported him. You know what I mean? Like, yes, there's Stockholm syndrome, like, beyond belief around there. But at some point, it's not everybody, and the people that, they're trying to vote, they still believe in rule of law. Pegida still believes in rule of law. AFD still believes in rule of law. EDL still believes in rule of law. The reason why I point out these groups is because they're prominent, and there's other groups out there. But they believe in rule of law because they're out there protesting. They're not out there killing people. At some point, when they really, truly believe there is no rule of law, when people stop believing in rule of law, bad things happen. And that will kick off your wars, which it is a holy war. There's no doubt about that. Because even like prominent families like the Rothschilds or Rockefellers, they're going to hit a dead end at some point. Bunkers or not, like these people, they go into bunkers, people will be welding the doors shut behind them. And anybody that's willing to protect those people will be horribly slaughtered. You'll be pulled apart by horses and ran over by tanks feet first. And hanging from street lamps. There is, again, and we're already starting to see the early throes of that. You're seeing it with the FBI and the CIA, of, the dissent and the battle going on there. CIA, oh, well, Russia hacked the election. FBI, no, they didn't. FBI director, Hillary Clinton, we found her guilty, but we're not going to do anything. No, you're not. Rest of the FBI, no, you're not. So we see the breaking away for hellhounds has never been closer. The problem is do they restore rule of law, or do they become new boss the same as the old boss? So we don't really know which way it's going to go. I don't know. Maybe the Arabs will conquer the world. That's a possibility. And it won't even be through breeding. I mean, they're just coming in and killing people and raping people. And nobody's throwing them in jail because it's politically incorrect. I can't even... I must have grown up in a different time than other people. Like, I really don't understand how it got so... Like, wow. Like, I know Canada's bad, but it's not that bad yet. We're just starting our batshit crazy now under Trudeau, but I think it's going to be short-lived. It's already starting to fail here. Not according to the CBC. According to the CBC, Justin Trudeau, it's been so good. The women love him, and everybody loves him, and he's so diverse and so inclusive, and gender parity. I don't think the Canadian populace has ever been so pissy in my life. I haven't heard anybody, and I haven't met anybody that will willingly admit they voted for Justin Trudeau. Now. I mean, at first, yes. But now, I mean, if you're living in Ontario or Alberta or even Quebec, it doesn't matter where you're living, even BC, you're mad at the Liberals. If you're an NDP, you're already mad at the Liberals because they're the opposition, right? But, and if you're a Conservative, you're pissed. You're pissed. So we're 8 to 10 years out to all the craziness that you're seeing in the world now. It depends. If, God forbid, Justin Trudeau was to get in on a second election, and it is possible, anything's possible. Like, I really didn't think he was going to make it. But considering that, I don't think Justin Trudeau won the election. Why? George Soros runs the country right now. John McClellan, our good friend George Soros, he's helping us with the migrants, and he's openly saying that. I hate that man. Well, I don't hate him. He's just so annoying. He's a bitch. He's a bitch. Like, I hate him. I don't hate him, but I hate him. I don't hate such a strong, but he just, like, where's a chalkboard? Give me a fork and a chalkboard. No. What I'll do is I'm going to go to the chalkboard and get my teeth and go like that with my teeth. That would be less annoying than John McClellan. God, he's so annoying. At least backhand him one anyway. Like, it's just, oh my God, what a douchebag. Trudeau, he boxes, so okay, okay, Mr. Drama Teacher Feminist. let's go. Yeah, let's go. Let's do it. I wouldn't even care if he was a better boxer than he is. Just as long as I get a couple of shots in the face, I'll take the hit. I'll even get knocked out getting that hit. But I just want right here. And I want to come down. This bang. Red slice. Yeah, there you go, Mr. Trudeau. Yeah. Was that gender parity enough? Yeah. Here's my gender parity. I got a left hand. I call Betty. Here's my right hand. I call Boom. Yeah, it puts me in that mood. But anyway, at worst, I would love to at least sit down and debate these idiots on an open forum so I could at least call their bullshit. But we're not getting that in Canada. However, getting back to task at hand here. So we have George Soros basically behind the scenes running country. All they talk about in Parliament Hill right now is Agenda 2030 and gender parity. And it all comes in with buzzwords of equality for women and the new Women's Act and the new women equality. Like, it has nothing to do with jobs. It has nothing to do with prosperity. It's just this bullshit of the United Nations, which is Rothschild, Rockefeller owned. And the problem is these are all the same group. It doesn't matter. The German government is the Canadian government. The Canadian government is the Swedish government. The Swedish government is the United Nations. It's all the same thing. That's why we're all suffering the same stuff, right? But who wins? That's the thing. And that's what we don't know. Because, again, I'm seeing a lot of turmoil ahead. I don't know if we're ever going to get into a Mad Max kind of world, but it will definitely be more probably like a Judge Dredd kind of dystopic kind of world, a very Orwellian. I mean, we're already well past George Orwell's 1984. Your dishwasher's spying on you. They're talking about, they just legalized microchipping people in the States. It's like, well, if your dog runs away, you microchip them. Well, what if your kids or your grandparents run out of the home? We chip them. Oh, it's voluntary at first, but, you want your kids to come to school, they have to have all their vaccines, and we have to be able to check them with a microchip. Maybe some people might want to willingly microchip their kids. Okay, I'm not against the technology, but it's who's custodian of that technology that you always have to ask, right? So, anyway, I don't know who's going to win, but I do know there's going to be, a just smorgasbord of genocidal maniacs on all sides. You're going to have, like I talked before, those neo-Nazis. Those dogs haven't been let off the leashes yet. Every time you hear on the news, that person's a Nazi, that person's a... No, they don't understand history. If you want to see what real neo-Nazis look like, Azov 305 Battalion, 2nd Panzer Division of the SS Waffen, running around eastern Ukraine, killing their own. Why? Because one's a Ukrainian, one's a Russian. They're both Slavs, and that's what I'm talking about. Those guys, they don't believe in rule of law. Now, Kiev 1, Kiev 2, the Ukrainian military, they're not necessarily Nazis. But the other guys are Nazis. They are children of the Nazis. The lineage comes right from World War II. Their grandparents fought, with the SS Waffen. You can't even make a... Those are the tip of the spear. Now, those guys are just, they're just in eastern Ukraine. But soon, they're going to be all over Europe. And it will probably even lead to European countries fighting each other. We could see another 100 years war between France and England, or UK. We could see Scotland go to war with the rest of with Great Britain. We could see that. We could see Northern Ireland, rise up again. We could see these things go these tensions. We could see, Slovakia and Czech Republic have, throw fisticuffs. Although Eastern Europe, strangely enough, even with all the NATO buildup, Eastern Europe seems to be the most stable because it's the least ethnically divided. Poland and Hungary. These seems to be the bastions of salvation against the migrants right now. The other place would kind of be Russia, but Russia does take advantage of cheap migrant labor too. Don't kid yourself. Even with Putin's populism, trust me, they're letting in tons of people that take jobs from the Russian people. That's why you have Russian neo-Nazis and ultranationalists, which they coexist peacefully now. But 20 years from now, the Nazis will be fighting the communists or the ultra-hyper-nationalists in Russia. That type of thing. They'll depending on the economy, right? So these things can happen. We don't know who's going to win. All we know is a lot of divide and conquer is coming. But however, I think in the short term you will see an alignment amongst European countries. You could see, for example, Golden Dawn over there in, at one point, when Golden Dawn, when it gets a real full kind of green light majority that, you know what, we're out of the EU whether we have a referendum or not. The military's on our side, everybody's on our side, that's it. We're putting gunboats in the Mediterranean. Anything comes from Turkey, we're blasting it. You could even see Greece shooting down Turkish fighters at some point. Turkey's constantly invading Greek airspace. Mind you, they complain when the Russians do it in Syria, but that type of thing. But these conflicts could just blow out of proportion very easily. The world is a powder cake. We've never seen anything like this before in history. We've seen Europe burn in its history. We've seen the Middle East burn in its history. We've seen Asia burn in its history. We've never seen it all at the same time. South America, whatever. And even at that, South America, to some degree, is actually going to be a bastion and a safe haven for people when all this really goes. North America, I think Canada would probably, and I'm not saying this out of arrogance or ego or anything like that, but I think Canada might be the last country standing. But the problem with Canada is it will willingly give up, and that's when you get our it's like when the politicians say, well, we're going to just hand everything. Right now they're handing everything over to the United Nations. But once people realize that's what the politicians are doing, that's when you get the backlash. And I think that happens 8 to 10 years out in Canada. Everything else happens wherever it does. But anyway, going on. In my opinion, people are so generally selfish that apart from their immediate family and friends, they don't give a damn about anyone else, let alone down the line who they shall never meet. I disagree. This is what the alt-right is all about, family, nation, future. They just don't know it yet. Well, they kind of know it. It's the only groups that are really looking after their own interest or trying to look after their own interest for a future, not for just the present now. Like Black Lives Matter is all about the now. It's not about the future of the people. Maybe a handful of and there are legitimate Black Lives Matter people out there, and I've heard them speak and stuff like that, and they're legitimate. But those people don't get the blowhorn. They don't want reasonability. Those people usually end up like the founder of the New Black Panther Party, or one of the founders. He goes, the New Black Panther Party now is a supremacist group. It's not what we intended in the beginning. But all these groups usually end up going radical at some point anyway, because they become so ideologue in their purpose. So Black Lives Matter, but it's all about getting the free stuff now. Why? Because that's the way George Soros set it up, and all those NGO groups. That said, when you look at the alt-right is talking about how do we keep our people for the future. So that's out of love. That's not out of selfishness. That's sacrificing our now so we can have a later. And I'm not saying that they're all saints, because there's a lot of nihilists. You got MGTOW in the alt-right. They're not going to go anywhere. These men are dead men. They don't even realize it. Unfortunately, I'm probably a part of that group. It ends with me. That's it. You know what I mean? Like nothing to carry forward. Thank God I got a nephew. You know what I mean? That type of thing. But if the only thing putting the value system forward in my family is my cousin's son, which would be my cousin, my nephew, and my other cousin's daughter. That's it. My mom and dad, seven in each family. This is what we're reduced to, is 3 people to carry these ideas forward. You see what I mean? Like it's like it's snap. Wow! When you put it that way, holy jeez, the triangle went upside down pretty fast, didn't it? One generation went from my sister, my brother, and myself. Went from 7 to 3 to now 1. And if we don't instill the proper values on them, that value system is going to go. So if you have to compete with 6 to 11 kids coming in from other nations, again, we don't know who's going to win. But even at that, if you can't feed them, these people, they're R versus K thing comes out. A lot of these people, they don't really have. Like the third world is the way it is, not because the technology doesn't exist or even a money thing. These people could just duplicate the technology, and it just falls a wayside because they don't plan for the future. It's again R versus K. Just have lots of kids. Some of them will make it, and they'll go on to have lots of kids, and some of them will make it. They don't plan. Whereas the K type people, they tend to think of the future. They don't have as many kids, but they put all their energy into 1 or 2 kids, that type of thing. And that's where the real, this will probably be after you and I are dead and gone. They will take that fight up however they do. But I don't know. As you might expect, I believe what we are seeing today is a climax of a long-term plan convened by the elites, not subjected to the death. Well, I do agree with that. I do think there are some, Charles Manson's theory. Start a race war, get them to fight amongst each other, and then when they're, get them to wipe out everybody, and then whenever there's only a handful left, helter skelter will come up and rule the rest of them. That's the way the world elites think now. I mean, your George Soros types and Rothschild types, that's how they think now. Well, we'll just get them to kill off the people that we don't want that could possibly, it's like the Israelis. They don't fear the Arabs that surround them because they know we could squash them at any time with the U.S. Army. That type of thing. But what happens when the U.S. Army is no longer the U.S. Army? They don't, like, again, I keep hearing how these Zionist Jews are so smart, but then it's like, but they're nihilistic. They create their own death and destruction. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, so you're going to surround yourself by enemies, rely on your allies to come and kick the shit out of your enemies all the time so you can rule later on with the Greater Israel Project and just balkanizing the Middle East, which is pretty much what we're seeing. But what happens if that fails? You've got no plan B, meaning that, let's say, after Trump comes a guy who's neutral on Israel, meaning no more aid to Israel. Yeah. Goodbye, Israel. But I don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen, right? Who are implementing an ancient agenda revealed in Scripture. But it would be interesting to hear their views of who limits such things, the plans of the moral men. So to clarify, I'm not asking if you would expand upon what we are seeing today, but rather who is orchestrating this goal plan that has clearly been unfolded for hundreds of years, and to what end? Well, yeah, I think we're at a 100-year fight there now, or somewhere around that, because it's taken, the central bankers, Rothschild family, whatever, and all the United Nations, League of Nations, the United Nations, all this Rockefeller stuff. But a lot of these people, like David Rockefeller, is he dead yet? He's over 100. Is he dead yet? These people are going to kick off soon, and they have to rely on their kin to carry on this family thing, which I'm pretty sure they're pretty ingrained with what's going on. So when George Soros dies, his son's the next tyrant of he's the one that runs the next NGO groups, the same way he's been brought up to. A clear definition of this would be Pierre Elliott Trudeau to the lineage of Justin Trudeau. Look at and it's worse though, because one thing I'll give Pierre Elliott Trudeau was he wasn't stupid. He wasn't stupid at all. Brainwashed? No, I think he was more of a brainwasher than a brainwashee. You know what I mean? His son is brainwashed, which is nihilistic and is going to fail. Pierre Elliott Trudeau was a true ideologue, kind of like Trotsky or Karl Marx or Mao Zedong. He was a huge Mao supporter, closet, of course, but at the time you couldn't openly say that he was open to it, but he was clearly open to it. Castro support. Castro is an ideologue. He just died, whatever. That type of thing. But at the end of the day, okay, the lineage of Justin Trudeau, okay, and all that lineage that comes with it, and all that heritage, and all that ideologue stuff that comes with it, well, he's only doing it out of a religious belief of it, not out of, I thought of it myself. Therefore, the good news is that he can't think forward. He's not capable of it. Most ideologues not. That's why social justice warriors break down into the fetal position crying when Donald Trump won the election. You know what I mean? Because they can't think forward. We lost this battle, but how do we win the next one? They're not capable of this. None of these ideologues are. The older ones are. George Bush Sr., very smart man. George W. Bush, not so much. Jeb Bush, personality of a doorknob. That type of thing. These guys aren't forward thinking because everything's handed to them. They don't understand. They understand the concept, but they don't understand what bred the concept and that type of thing. That's the problem with these type of people. So they're going to lose control of it, and you see them losing control of it now. That's why I think there's such a radical push for all this stuff before, like the Rockefellers. These men are old. David Rockefeller. how long are you going to be able to keep this guy alive? Eugenics or not. It's a transhumanism or not. It's not there yet. This man is going to go to the way of the dodo. And if he doesn't see his dream realized, his kids, like Jay Rockefeller and those idiots like that, they're probably not going to get that far as you think, because they're the ideologues that are just going along with the system that was set up for them. They don't know how to plan the system, and which is very destructive in itself. Which I think is what we're seeing the early throes of, is how the system will just lose itself because that whole generation that thought it up, they're dying now, and good riddance. Problem is the vacuum that it creates. But anyway, hopefully that expands and answers on your. The simple answer is I don't know who's going to take the cake, and it's not going to be one group. It's going to be several. This is why I'm already thinking ahead of that, and I'll be doing a video very soon, hopefully today, if I can get it done. Today's like it's Monday. I want to get all the videos done. Getting close to Christmas, I want to have enough videos so that through the holidays, I can visit people and I don't, have to. But Alt-Right Island now. I know some of you, some of you think I'm a racist, bigot, xenophobe, homophobe, all that stuff. Okay, fine. Some of you think, no, this guy's just making rational arguments. That's fine too. Some of you think, okay, well, I don't really know what to make of them at all. Because I do get all walks of life listening to my channel, all races, all creeds, all, both genders, that type of thing. But the thing about it is it's very, for me, it's not because I just view myself as a man passing through time. To predict the future is never written, and there's always unforeseen consequences in Black Swan. Look, communism was supposed to be inevitable and an absolute, and the first few waves of it have already failed, and it keeps failing, and this wave of it is failing now. So they're trying to, okay, well, we'll rebrand communism through the alt-right. We'll do that. We'll become the new authoritarian. At the end of the day, I mean, for these people, they don't care if it's if the jackboot thugs are wearing left or right boots. They really don't care, as long as they can get their jackboot thugs. That's the way these world elites work. We don't care if we support this jihad group or that jihad group, as long as at the end of the day we get our pipeline here. You know what I mean? Like that's how you have to look at these people. They're very, even George Soros says it himself. I make bets and I don't consider the consequences of my actions. That I'm here to make money and that's it. No, he's there more than to make money. Make money is one thing. He can make money and let people prosper too. All these world elites could, but they don't. They do it for a reason. They're after other things. Some might be Satanists. Some might be just greedy. Some might just be nihilistic, cruel bastards. I don't know what these idiots are thinking all the time, but I do know that they're all nihilistic. So nihilism goes out one way or another. It can go out with a whisper, with compliance, such as child-free movements, feminism, or LGBTQ, that type of thing. People who don't have kids, that type of thing. Yeah, that goes out peacefully. Okay, fine. Might make a ruckus along the way, but it doesn't hurt anybody in the long run. It just hurts themselves. Okay, so when those people are dead and gone, all these radical feminists and stuff like that don't believe in family or children, and all the gay people, well, okay, there's always going to be gay people and lesbians and stuff like that. But when they're gone out of their social engineering, again, the counter to them is already starting today, and it's thinking people. I wouldn't even say libertarians, because libertarians maybe 1,000 years from now we might be able to live in a libertarian society, but a lot would have to change 100 years ago, let alone today, for that to happen. We don't have that. I think we do move into more isolated societies very, very easily. Anything going along in the main center is going to be pretty miserable. The misery index keeps going up and up and up and up in all countries. And there's a reason for it. And it's always tied back to the banking system, that type of thing. And the banking system is failing. No matter how much they manipulate it, it's failing. People don't have good jobs over it. The mass immigration takes away even more jobs. Dilute the culture to, again, if the Israelis think that, and the Jews think that, okay, well, we'll destroy all of Europe and then we'll have Europe for ourselves, well, that's not going to work either, because they'll destroy themselves. It's just... Anyway, I'm going to leave that about that. So if you like this kind of content, please consider making a donation to the channel. Links down below. Thank you so much to everybody who has. Next to that, rate, subscribe, share, comment, like, be true to yourself, be true to others, always do the right thing, and have yourselves a great day. Good day, and welcome. Q&A, whatever it is. For those of you joining me for the very first time, this is me just responding to various questions and comments on various different videos. I never censor my comments. I always encourage people to jump in on the conversation, because it's usually pretty fantastical, whether we agree, disagree, all good, say your piece. All right, 19th of December 2016, get close to Christmas. Let's just jump into it. When I visited Sweden, I would like to see Swedish people, not Syrian, and when I visit Sweden, I would like to see Swedish food, not Syrian food. What's going on here? Get a hose, freaking Syrian Muslims out of Sweden. The culture of Sweden is being demonized. Yeah, that's multiculturalism. I don't know what the future is going to... I still would like to see, like, the countries I would like to visit. Most people, they always want a vacation like the Bahamas or someplace like that, tropical. But I'd like to see, like, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Iceland. I'd really love to see Iceland. Those type of places, because I'm more fascinated by those places. Even Russia, I'd love to go to Russia. I don't think I could ever go to Russia, because with my YouTube channel, I could get the FSB might be meeting me at the... meeting me at the airport, you're critical of our country. We throw you in gulag, But I'd love to see it. I'd love to see Hungary, Poland, Ukraine even, just to see it. It's like, I'd love to see these places. I wish they weren't all war-torn. Middle Eastern countries, I'd love to see the Valley of the Kings and stuff like that. I'd love to see all the ancient, cities in Syria, and so I'd love to see all that stuff. But it doesn't necessarily mean I want all those people here, because, again, you're just doing population displacement. Now with the Swedes, wow, they're bad off because of their policies and stuff like that, but if they were to switch policies, they actually do have a chance. They could probably get rid of a lot of these people by just cutting off the welfare. Like that's 90%. Cut off the welfare, it will save so much violence later on. Encourage them to leave, that type of thing. Well, we got nothing here for you for free. They could do this in Germany, France, whatever. Problem is they're so embedded in Germany and France that, those people ain't leaving without violence. Not that I call for violence, but it's going to happen anyway, But anyway, gang rape is the ultimate form of democracy because it is a majority decision. How many girls like the responsibility for their bodies? I mean, how many like being labeled whores or sluts, or the emotional slavery they are chained to obey? Okay, well, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say that. There's democracy of you have two wolves and one lamb, and they're voting on what to have for dinner. Yeah, okay, I get that concept of it. That, but I wouldn't call that democracy. I mean, it's majority rule, but it's definitely not democracy. But yeah, I get what you're saying there. Anyway, all right, maybe you have already answered this, and if so, please offer a link. You offer insight, theories, and opinions regarding what you see around the world very well. You point out Russia is currently doing the elites also as they press on the establishment appears to be the New World Order, as well as the bankers, etc. As a studious Christian of prophecy, I have my own opinions, which in a post-Christian world few are interested in. But I do love to know where an informed secular guy like you believes this all is heading and who is steering the ship. For instance, do you believe that over the past 2 to 3 centuries, a group, a class, or family whom all being subject to death are following the plan and that will be descendants somehow down the line to the rule of the world, and for what purpose? Well, this is where it gets really, like, if I'm understanding what you're asking me, and I'll bring in, for example,